The bridge of the UES Defiant was quiet except for the soft hum of computers. Admiral Kate Morrison stood looking out at the stars through the main window. She had been in space for 20 years, but the sight still amazed her. Earth was just a small blue dot behind them now. "Admiral, we're getting something strange on the long-range sensors," said Lieutenant Ben Carter from his station. His voice was calm, but Kate could hear the worry underneath. Kate walked over to Ben's station. On the screen, she could see 7 large ships moving toward them. They were bigger than anything humans had ever built. The ships looked like they were made of dark metal with glowing blue lines running along their sides. "How long until they reach us?" Kate asked. "About 6 hours at their current speed," Ben replied. "But Admiral, they just sent us a message." Kate felt her stomach tighten. This was it. Humanity's first real contact with aliens. After decades of searching the stars, they had finally found them. Or maybe the aliens had found humanity first. "Put it on the main screen," Kate ordered. The image that appeared made everyone on the bridge step back. The creature on the screen was tall and thin, with gray skin and 4 arms. Its eyes were completely black, and when it spoke, its voice sounded like metal scraping against stone. "I am High Commander Vexithari of the Zephyrian Empire," the alien said. "We have discovered your species expanding into our territory. This will not be allowed." Kate looked around at her crew. They all had the same shocked expression on their faces. Captain Jake Sullivan, their alien expert, was writing notes as fast as he could. The alien continued talking. "Your species will follow the same path as all others we have encountered. You will surrender all military ships immediately. You will accept our rule over your worlds. You will send tribute to the Empire every year. If you refuse, we will destroy every human in the galaxy." The message kept going, but Kate stopped listening. She was thinking about her daughter back on Earth. Lisa was only 12 years old. She loved to draw pictures of spaceships and dreamed of becoming an explorer like her mother. "You have 72 of your hours to respond," Vexithari said. "Choose wisely. In our long history, we have given this choice to 847 different species. All of them chose to live under our rule rather than die fighting us." The screen went black. The bridge was completely silent for a long moment. Dr. Lisa Chang, the fleet's chief strategist, was the first to speak. "They think we're weak," she said quietly. "What do you mean?" asked Jake. Lisa pointed at the tactical display. "They only sent 7 ships. 7. If they really wanted to intimidate us, they would have sent 100. They don't think we're a real threat." Kate nodded. "They've been watching us, but they don't understand what they're seeing. They think our few colonies and mining stations are all we have." She turned to her communications officer. "Lieutenant Davis, get me a direct line to Earth, Priority Alpha." "Yes, Admiral." Connection established. The screen flickered and President Ryan Martinez appeared. He looked tired, but his eyes were sharp and alert. "Admiral Morrison, I assume this isn't a social call." "No, sir. We have a situation." Kate quickly explained about the alien ultimatum. When she finished, the president was quiet for a moment. 72 hours? "Yes, sir. And they want us to surrender everything?" "That's what they said." President Martinez rubbed his forehead. "I'm calling an emergency council meeting. We'll have an answer for you in 6 hours." The connection ended and Kate turned back to her crew. "Ben, I want you to start scanning those alien ships. Find out everything you can about their weapons and shields." "Already on it, Admiral." "Jake, start analyzing that message. I want to know everything about their culture and how they think." "Yes, ma'am." "Lisa, start working on battle plans. If we fight them, I want to know our best options." Dr. Chang looked surprised. "You think we're going to fight?" Kate smiled grimly. "I've been human for 43 years. In all that time, I've never met a human who liked being told what to do by bullies." 6 hours later, the call came from Earth. This time, the entire United Earth Council was on the screen. President Martinez spoke for all of them. "Admiral Morrison, the vote was unanimous. We will not surrender to these aliens." Kate felt a surge of pride. "What are your orders, sir?" "Prepare for war." "And Admiral?" "Yes, sir." "Show them what happens when someone threatens humanity." After the call ended, Kate gathered her senior officers in the conference room. The room was small and plain, with just a metal table and some chairs. But the people sitting around that table were about to make one of the most important decisions in human history. "You all heard the president," Kate said. "We're going to fight. But before we do, I need to know something. Are any of you having doubts?" Captain Sullivan raised his hand slightly. "Admiral, I've studied their message carefully. They've conquered 847 species. That's a lot of experience in warfare. You're right, Jake. But they've conquered 847 species who chose to surrender rather than fight. They have no experience fighting someone who refuses to give up. Lieutenant Colonel Max Turner, the Marine commander, spoke up. My people are ready, Admiral. We've been preparing for something like this our whole careers. Kate looked around the table. Every face showed determination mixed with fear. That was good. Fear would keep them sharp. There's something the aliens don't know, Kate said. They think they've seen all of humanity's strength. They're wrong. She activated the holographic display in the center of the table. It showed the solar system, but not the way most people saw it. This display showed the hidden bases, the secret shipyards, and the disguised warships that most humans didn't even know existed. For the last 50 years, we've been preparing for this day, Kate explained. Every colony ship that left Earth carried the parts to build a defense fleet. Every mining station doubles as a weapons platform. Every research facility is actually a military base. The officers stared at the display in amazement. Even they hadn't known the full scope of humanity's preparations. The aliens are expecting to fight a small, weak species with only a few ships, Kate continued. Instead, they're about to face the most prepared military force in human history. She stood up and looked at each officer. Send the message to all human ships and stations. Use the old code phrase. Captain Sullivan smiled. He knew what she meant. Every human in the military knew those words. Come and take it, he said. Kate nodded. Come and take it. Captain Tony Garcia pressed his face against the small window of his ship, the UES Shadow. His vessel was designed to be invisible to most sensors, painted black as space itself and equipped with the best stealth technology humans could build. For the past 3 days, he had been watching the alien fleet from a safe distance. What do you see, Tony? Asked his second-in-command, Lieutenant Amy Rodriguez. 200 ships, Tony replied quietly. Maybe more. They're arranged in a perfect formation, just sitting there at the edge of our solar system. Amy looked at the sensor readings on her screen. They're not even trying to hide. It's like they want us to see how big their fleet is. Tony nodded. That's exactly what they're doing. This is their way of showing off. They want us to be scared. But Tony wasn't scared. He was angry. These aliens had come to human space and demanded surrender without even trying to talk. They treated humans like insects that needed to be stepped on. Sir, message coming in from Admiral Morrison, said Communications Officer Pete Williams. Tony took the message and read it quickly. His eyes widened. Amy, prepare to send a coded transmission to all human ships and stations. Use the emergency frequency. What's the message, sir? The wolf is loose. Repeat, the wolf is loose. Amy looked confused for a moment, then her eyes lit up. Sir, are you saying what I think you're saying? Yes, Operation Hidden Strength is active. Every secret base, every disguised ship, every hidden weapons platform is now coming online. Throughout the solar system, things began to change. On Mars, what looked like ordinary mining equipment suddenly transformed into massive railguns. Near Jupiter, asteroids that had been quietly floating in space for decades opened up to reveal battleships inside. Commander Lisa Park sat in the Intelligence Center on Earth, coordinating the largest military operation in human history. Her screen showed friendly ships appearing all over the solar system. Ships that the aliens had no idea existed. How many vessels do we have? Asked General Carl Bennett, who had just arrived at the command center. Final count is coming in now, sir, Lisa replied. Total operational strength, 850 warships of all classes. The general's mouth fell open. 850? How is that possible? We've been planning this for 50 years, sir. Every colony mission included military components. Every mining operation was actually building ships. Every research station was training crews. Meanwhile, Admiral Nick Thompson was aboard his flagship, the UES Vengeance, preparing Battle Group Beta. His ships were smaller and faster than Admiral Morrison's heavy cruisers, designed for hit-and-run attacks. Status report, he ordered. Captain Danny Morgan stepped forward. Danny commanded the carrier group, 50 ships that could launch thousands of small fighters. All fighter squadrons are ready, Admiral. Pilots have been training for this scenario for years. What about our new weapons? Admiral Thompson asked. Dr. Sam Williams, the head of weapons development, smiled. The kinetic cannons are loaded and ready. The aliens use energy shields, but our solid metal projectiles will punch right through them. Engineer Beth Allen looked up from her workstation. Admiral, I've been studying the alien ship designs from Captain Garcia's reports. Their armor is strong against energy weapons, but they're not built to handle physical impacts. Admiral Thompson nodded. Perfect. We'll hit them hard and fast. On the UES Defiant, Admiral Morrison was meeting with her senior staff. The main conference room was packed with officers from different ships and stations. The aliens gave us 72 hours, she said. We've used 48 of them to get ready. Now it's time to show them what human determination looks like. Captain Jake Sullivan had been analyzing alien communications for the past 2 days. Admiral, I've been listening to their fleet chatter. They're not taking us seriously at all. Their commanders are arguing about who gets to claim Earth as their prize. Good, Morrison replied. Let them stay overconfident. Colonel Max Turner, the Marine commander, raised his hand. Admiral, what about boarding actions? My people are ready to take alien ships if needed. We'll see how the space battle goes first, Max, but be ready. Commander Julie Brooks, who handled logistics, spoke up. Admiral, our mobile repair ships are in position throughout the system. We can keep fighting even if we take heavy damage. Morrison looked around the room at all the determined faces. These people had trained their entire lives for this moment. Any questions? Lieutenant Colonel Sarah Davis, one of the fighter squadron leaders, spoke up. Admiral, what if they have more ships than we think? What if this is just their advance force? Morrison smiled grimly. Then we fight those too. Humans don't surrender, Sarah. That's not who we are. Captain Tony Garcia's voice came over the communication system. Admiral Morrison, the alien fleet is starting to move. They're heading toward Earth. How long until they reach the outer planets? Morrison asked. At their current speed, they'll reach Jupiter in 18 hours. Morrison stood up. Then we meet them at Jupiter. All battle groups move to intercept positions. It's time to show these aliens what humans do when someone threatens our home. Throughout the solar system, human ships began to move. They came out of hiding places in asteroid fields and behind moons. Some had been disguised as space stations or cargo haulers. Others had been completely invisible, waiting for this moment. High Commander Vexithari stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the human solar system on his main screen. His officers were excited about the easy victory ahead. High Commander, said his tactical officer, we're detecting some movement in their system. A few small ships. How many? Vexithari asked. Maybe 20 or 30 vessels? Nothing significant, Vexithari laughed. 30 ships against 200. These humans are even more foolish than I thought. But the tactical officer was wrong. The alien sensors were designed to detect the energy signatures of their own technology. They couldn't properly see human ships, which used different power systems and stealth technology. What looked like 30 ships to the aliens was actually the largest human fleet ever assembled, Captain. Garcia continued to watch the alien fleet from his hidden position. He sent another coded message to Admiral Morrison. Enemy formation unchanged. They suspect nothing. Admiral Morrison received the message and smiled. The aliens were flying straight into the biggest trap in human history. All ships, this is Admiral Morrison. She broadcast on the secure channel. Remember what we're fighting for. Remember who we're protecting. Today we show the galaxy what happens when someone threatens humanity. The response came from hundreds of ships across the solar system. Come and take it. The trap was set. The hunters had become the hunted, and they didn't even know it yet. The 72-hour deadline had passed 6 hours ago. High Commander Vexithari stood on his command bridge, looking at the small blue world ahead of them. Earth looked so peaceful from this distance with its white clouds and brown continents. Still no surrender message from the humans? He asked his communications officer. No, High Commander. They sent only one response. Show me. The screen flickered and Admiral Morrison's face appeared. She looked calm and confident, not like someone whose species was about to be destroyed. High Commander Vexithari, she said in a clear voice. You asked for our surrender. Here is our answer. Come and take it. Vexithari laughed. His officers laughed too. The sound filled the bridge like the growling of hungry animals. Foolish creatures, Vexithari said. They choose death over wisdom. Begin the attack. Destroy their military vessels first, then their cities. The Zephyrian fleet moved forward in perfect formation. 200 massive warships, each one capable of destroying a small moon. Their weapons had conquered 847 different species across the galaxy. Today would make it 8/48. But as they approached Jupiter's orbit, something strange happened. High Commander, called the sensor operator. His voice suddenly worried. I'm reading multiple contacts, more ships than before. How many more? I'm not sure, sir. Our sensors are having trouble getting clear readings. Vexathari frowned. Put it on the main display. What appeared on the screen made him step backward in shock. The space around Jupiter was full of ships. Not 30 or 40 like their sensors had first detected, but hundreds. They seemed to come from everywhere at once. From behind asteroids, from inside gas clouds, from places where no ships should have been able to hide. Where did they all come from? Vexathari demanded. Captain Tony Garcia smiled as he watched the alien formation break apart in confusion. His stealth ship, the UES Shadow, had been cutting their communication lines for the past hour. Half the alien fleet couldn't talk to the other half anymore. Tony, we're getting the signal, said Lieutenant Amy Rodriguez. All human ships are moving to attack positions. Then let's give them something to really worry about, Tony replied. He activated his ship's targeting system and fired a spread of missiles at the nearest alien communications relay. The small station exploded in a bright flash of light. Suddenly, a whole section of the alien fleet was cut off from their command ship. Admiral Morrison stood on the bridge of the UES Defiant, watching as her battle plan came together. All ships, this is Morrison. Execute Operation Hammerfall. Battle Group Alpha, with its 150 heavy cruisers, came around Jupiter's far side like a pack of wolves. Their kinetic cannons opened fire at maximum range, sending solid metal projectiles racing toward the alien fleet at incredible speed. The aliens had energy shields designed to stop laser weapons and plasma bolts, but the human kinetic rounds punched through their defenses like bullets through paper. 3 alien ships exploded in the first volley. Impossible, Vexathari screamed. Our shields should stop anything they can throw at us. His tactical officer was frantically checking his instruments. High Commander, they're using primitive kinetic weapons. Solid projectiles. Our shields can't deflect physical matter at these velocities. Admiral Nick Thompson led Battle Group Beta in a flanking attack. His destroyers and frigates were faster than the alien ships, darting in and out like angry hornets. Each hit-and-run attack took out alien weapons or engines. Target their propulsion systems, Thompson ordered. Slow them down so the heavy ships can finish them off. Captain Danny Morgan's fighter squadrons swarmed around the larger alien vessels like flies around a giant. The alien ships were built to fight other large warships, not tiny, fast-moving fighters. Major Ashley Davis led Fighter Squadron 1 in an attack on an alien battleship. Her small craft dove between the massive ship's weapon turrets, too small and quick for the big guns to target. Follow me in, she called to her pilots. Target the engine exhausts. The fighters fired their missiles into the alien ship's engine ports. The internal explosions crippled the massive vessel, leaving it floating helpless in space. But the real surprise came when Commander Julie Brooks revealed humanity's secret weapon. Her logistics fleet, which the aliens had ignored as non-threatening supply ships, suddenly opened fire with hidden weapons. Surprise, she said as her disguised cargo ships launched hundreds of missiles. The aliens found themselves surrounded. Every direction they turned, more human ships appeared. What they had thought was a quick battle against a weak enemy had turned into a nightmare. High Commander Vexathari tried to regain control of the situation. All ships form defensive formation. Call for reinforcements from the Second Fleet. But Captain Garcia's stealth ships had destroyed most of their long-range communication equipment. The call for help never reached the rest of the alien empire. Dr. Sam Williams watched the battle from his command post on Earth. His new weapons were working perfectly. The kinetic cannons that engineer Beth Allen had helped design were tearing through alien ships like they were made of thin metal. How are our ships holding up? He asked. Beth Allen checked her reports. Minor damage to several vessels, but nothing critical. The aliens are having trouble hitting our ships. We're too fast and too unpredictable for them. That was the key difference between human and alien tactics. The Zephyrians fought like a machine, everything planned and organized. Humans fought like living creatures, adapting, changing, improvising. When an alien commander saw his shields failing, he followed standard procedure and called for support. When a human captain saw his shields failing, he rammed his ship into the nearest enemy vessel. Commander Lisa Park coordinated the battle from Earth's command center. Her screen showed the fight from dozens of different angles. General Bennett, the aliens are trying to retreat. General Carl Bennett watched as several alien ships broke formation and tried to run. Don't let them escape. If even one ship gets back to their empire, They'll return with everything they have. Admiral Morrison received the order and smiled grimly. All ships pursue and destroy. No alien vessel leaves this system. The battle turned into a running fight as human ships chased down the retreating aliens. The faster human destroyers caught up first, disabling the alien engines. Then the heavy cruisers arrived to finish the job. Captain Jake Sullivan, watching from the UES Defiance bridge, shook his head in amazement. Admiral, in all my studies of warfare, I've never seen anything like this. The aliens are completely falling apart. They've never fought anyone who refused to surrender, Morrison replied. They don't know how to handle real resistance. High Commander Vexithari's flagship was surrounded by 5 human cruisers. His weapons were destroyed, his engines were dead, and his shields were failing. For the first time in his long military career, he was going to lose a battle. High Commander, his communications officer called out. The humans are sending us a message. What do they say? They're demanding our surrender. Vexithari stared at the screen in shock. No one had ever demanded his surrender before. He was the one who made those demands. Admiral Morrison's voice came over the communication system, calm and confident. High Commander Vexithari, your fleet is destroyed. Your weapons are offline. You have one choice. Surrender now or join your ships in destruction. Vexithari looked around his bridge. His officers were all staring at him, waiting for orders. But what orders could he give? His mighty fleet was gone. His perfect formation was scattered wreckage floating in space. High Commander, his tactical officer asked quietly. Vexithari closed his eyes. In his long life, he had accepted the surrender of 847 different species. Now he understood how they had felt. Signal the humans, he said in a voice barely above a whisper. We surrender. The battle was over, but the war was just beginning. Admiral Morrison stood in the captured alien command ship, looking at High Commander Vexithari. The alien leader was tall and thin, with forearms and skin the color of old metal. His black eyes showed something Morrison had never expected to see in a conqueror: fear. Your empire sent you here to destroy us, Morrison said calmly. Instead, we destroyed you. How do you think your leaders will react to that news? Vexithari remained silent, but Lieutenant Commander Maria Gonzalez, who had led the boarding party that captured him, spoke up. Admiral, we found something interesting in their computer systems. She activated a holographic display that showed a map of the galaxy. Hundreds of star systems were marked in red. These are all the worlds controlled by the Zephyrian Empire. And look at this. The display changed to show fleet movements. Thousands of alien ships were spread across dozens of sectors. The force we just defeated was only a small part of their military, Maria continued. They have over 10,000 warships scattered across the galaxy. Admiral Morrison studied the display carefully. Vexithari, your empire's going to send more fleets, isn't it? The alien commander finally spoke, his voice like grinding stone. You have won one battle against a reconnaissance force. The Empire has resources you cannot imagine. When they learn what happened here, they will send fleets that will darken your sky. Captain Jake Sullivan, who had been studying the alien databases, looked up from his work. Admiral, there's something else. The Empire doesn't just conquer species. They use them as slave soldiers. Most of these fleets are made up of conquered peoples forced to fight for their masters. Morrison nodded grimly. So we're not just fighting the Zephyrians. We're fighting everyone they've enslaved over the centuries. But Dr. Sam Williams had been thinking about this problem. Admiral, maybe that's our advantage, not our weakness. What do you mean, Sam? Think about it. How motivated are those slave soldiers going to be? They're not fighting for their homes or their families. They're fighting because they have to. Engineer Beth Allen was working on one of the captured alien ships, trying to understand their technology. Dr. Williams is right, Admiral. I've been examining their ships, and they're built for intimidation, not efficiency. They rely on fear and overwhelming numbers, not superior design. Captain Tony Garcia's voice came over the communication system from his stealth ship. Admiral, I'm picking up long-range transmissions from deeper in the galaxy. I think word of our victory is starting to spread. What kind of transmissions? It's hard to decode, but it looks like some of the conquered species are asking questions. They want to know if it's really true that someone defeated a Zephyrian fleet. Admiral Morrison smiled. Maybe we can use that. Over the next several days, as human engineers worked to repair battle damage and study captured alien technology, a new plan began to form. Captain Danny Morgan had an idea that seemed crazy at first, but the more people thought about it, the more sense it made. What if we don't wait for them to attack us again? He suggested during a strategy meeting. What if we take the war to them? Colonel Max Turner looked up from the tactical displays he had been studying. That's a hell of a risk, Danny. We'd be fighting on their territory, far from our supply lines. But we'd also be fighting alongside people who hate the Empire as much as we do, Danny replied. Every species they've conquered is a potential ally. Commander Lisa Park had been analyzing the intelligence data from the captured alien ships. The colonel's right about the risks, but Captain Morgan might be onto something. Look at this pattern. She activated a display showing the Empire's structure. The Zephyrians control the galaxy through regional commands. Each sector is run by a different commander with their own fleet. If we could defeat them one at a time, we could prevent them from combining their forces against us, Morrison finished. It's risky, but it might work. Dr. Sam Williams had been unusually quiet during the meeting. Finally, he spoke up. There's something else to consider. Our weapons worked so well against the Zephyrians because they weren't expecting kinetic rounds. But now they know about our tactics. The next fleet they send will be prepared. Then we'll have to come up with new tactics, Morrison replied. That's what humans do, we adapt. Captain Helen Ross, who commanded the UES coordinator, had been working on battlefield communication systems. Admiral, I've been studying how the aliens coordinate their fleets. They use a central command structure. Everything goes through the flagship. If we can disrupt their communications, we can turn their numbers against them, Morrison said. Excellent work, Helen. Meanwhile, Admiral Nick Thompson was working with his engineering crews to modify human ships for long-range operations. If we're going to take this war into alien space, we need ships that can operate independently for months at a time. Engineer Beth Allen looked up from her work on the captured alien technology. Admiral Thompson, I think I can help with that. The alien ships use a different kind of power system that's more efficient than ours. If we can adapt it to human ships, we could extend our operational range significantly, Thompson finished. Do it. But the biggest breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Lieutenant Amy Rodriguez, who had been Tony Garcia's second-in-command on the stealth ship, had been working with the captured alien databases. Admiral Morrison, she called excitedly, I found something important. The Empire keeps detailed records of every species they've conquered, including the locations of prison camps and forced labor facilities. Morrison studied the data Amy had uncovered. My God, there are millions of people in these camps. Yes, ma'am. And according to these records, many of them still have technical knowledge that could help us. Engineers, scientists, military officers, all kept alive because they're useful to the Empire. Captain Jake Sullivan had been working with the alien prisoners, trying to learn more about the Empire's culture and weaknesses. Admiral, I've been talking with some of the captured aliens. Not all of them are loyal to the Empire. Some of them were conscripts from conquered worlds. Are any of them willing to help us? A few, yes. They hate their masters as much as we do. Morrison made her decision. We're going to do something the Empire won't expect. We're not going to sit here and wait for them to attack us again. We're going to liberate every enslaved world, free every prisoner, and turn their own people against them. General Carl Bennett looked concerned. Admiral, that's ambitious, but do we have the resources for a campaign like that? We'll make the resources, Morrison replied. Every world we free gives us more allies, more ships, more soldiers. The Empire's greatest weakness is that they rule through fear. Once that fear is broken, the whole thing comes apart, Colonel Turner said, understanding. It's brilliant. Commander Julie Brooks, who handled logistics, was already working on the supply challenges. Admiral, if we can establish supply bases on liberated worlds, we can keep our fleets operating deep in enemy territory. Then that's what we'll do, Morrison decided. We'll start with the closest Empire outposts and work our way toward their core worlds. Captain Tony Garcia's excited voice came over the communication system. Admiral, you need to hear this. I'm intercepting communications from several conquered worlds. They're talking about rebellion, Morrison smiled. The aliens had made a critical error. They had expected humans to surrender like all the others. Instead, they had awakened something that had been sleeping in the galaxy for centuries. The hope of freedom. Send a message to all human ships and stations, Morrison ordered. Phase 2 is beginning. We're not just defending Earth anymore. We're liberating the galaxy. The response came back from hundreds of ships across the solar system. Come and take it. But now those words had a new meaning. They weren't just defying an attack. They were promising liberation to every enslaved world in the galaxy. The real war was about to begin. 6 months had passed since the first battle at Jupiter. The war that began with one alien ultimatum had spread across 12 star systems. Admiral Morrison stood on the bridge of her flagship, looking out at the strangest fleet in galactic history. Human ships flew alongside vessels from dozens of different species. The Kethrin provided fast scout ships with powerful sensors. The Malari contributed heavy artillery platforms. The Zenthi offered their expertise in electronic warfare. All of them had one thing in common. They had been slaves of the Zephyrian Empire until human forces freed them. Admiral, called Captain Jake Sullivan from his station, "We're getting reports from all sectors. The liberation of the Vorthan system is complete." Morrison smiled. The Vorthan system had been one of the Empire's major shipyards. Now it was building vessels for the growing alliance of free worlds. "What's our total fleet strength now?" she asked. Commander Lisa Park checked her displays. "Over 3,000 ships of all classes, Admiral. And that number is growing every day as more worlds join us." The strategy had worked better than anyone had dared hope. Instead of waiting for the Empire to attack Earth with overwhelming force, humanity had taken the war to them. Each victory brought new allies, and each new ally provided more ships and soldiers. But the Empire was not giving up easily. High Commander Vexthari, now a prisoner aboard a human ship, had warned them that the Empire's core worlds would never surrender willingly. "Admiral Morrison," his voice had said during their last conversation, "you have won many battles, but you do not understand what you face. The inner worlds have ruled the galaxy for 2,000 years. They will destroy everything before they give up power." Morrison had looked at the defeated alien commander with something that might have been pity. "That's the difference between us, Vexthari. You fight to rule. We fight to free." Now that difference was about to be tested in the biggest battle of the war. The Empire had finally gathered its strength for one massive counterattack. Intelligence reports showed over 5,000 alien warships massing near the Zephyrian homeworld. Captain Tony Garcia's stealth ships had been watching the buildup for weeks. His reports painted a grim picture. "They've pulled fleets from across the galaxy," Tony reported over the secure communication channel. "Every remaining loyal species, every reserve unit, every ship they can still trust. It's going to be the biggest space battle in galactic history." Admiral Nick Thompson was preparing his battle groups for the assault. His ships had been modified with captured alien technology, making them faster and more powerful than ever before. "Admiral Morrison," he said during the final strategy meeting, "we have good ships and brave crews, but we're still outnumbered almost 2-1. "Numbers aren't everything, Nick," Morrison replied. "Remember what we've learned. Half their fleet is made up of conscripts who don't want to be there. The other half is overconfident because they've never faced real resistance before." Captain Danny Morgan had been training fighter pilots from a dozen different species. His mixed squadrons were unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen before. "The Empire pilots are good," he reported, "but they fight like machines. Our people fight like they have something to lose." Dr. Sam Williams had been working around the clock to prepare new weapons and tactics. "Admiral, I think we have an edge they won't be expecting. Our new alliance includes species with technologies the Empire has never encountered. Some of our new allies have weapons the Zephyrians can't defend against." Engineer Beth Allen had been coordinating with engineers from dozens of worlds. "We've created something completely new, Admiral. Ships designed by humans, built by Kethrins, powered by Malari reactors and armed with weapons from 6 different species. The Empire has never faced anything like this." But Morrison knew that technology alone wouldn't win this battle. The real key was something the Empire had never understood: people fighting. For their freedom fought differently than people. Fighting for conquest. Colonel Max Turner's Marines now included soldiers from 20 different worlds, all trained in human-style tactics. "Admiral, my people are ready. We've been practicing boarding actions with our new allies. The Empire won't know what hit them." The final battle began at the edge of the Zephyrian home system. The alien fleet came forward in their traditional perfect formation, confident that their overwhelming numbers would win the day. Admiral Morrison watched them approach on her tactical display. "All ships, this is Morrison. Remember why we're here. We're not just fighting for Earth anymore. We're fighting for every world that wants to be free." The response came back from thousands of ships across dozens of species. "Come and take it." But this time, the words were spoken in 100 different languages. The battle that followed was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Instead of the orderly formations the Empire expected, the Alliance fleet attacked from all directions at once. Human ships used their kinetic weapons to punch holes in alien formations. Kethran scouts darted through the gaps to disable command ships. Mullery artillery platforms provided covering fire while Zent, the electronic warfare specialist, jammed alien communications. Captain Helen Ross coordinated the massive fleet like a conductor leading an orchestra. Her advanced communication systems allowed ships from dozens of different worlds to fight as one unified force. The Empire's perfect battle plan fell apart within the first hour. Their commanders had prepared to fight humans, but they faced an alliance of every species they had ever enslaved. Each ally brought different tactics, different weapons, different ways of thinking about warfare. High Commander Zek Thul, who led the Empire's fleet, watched in growing horror as his forces were torn apart by enemies who fought unlike anything in his experience. "How are they coordinating so many different species?" he demanded. His tactical officer checked his displays frantically. "I don't know, High Commander. They're using communication methods we've never encountered. It's like they're all thinking with one mind." That was exactly what was happening. The Alliance had learned to combine human strategic thinking with alien tactical abilities. The result was a military force that was more than the sum of its parts. Admiral Morrison smiled as she watched the battle unfold. "Jake, send a message to the Empire commander." Captain Jake Sullivan nodded. "What should I tell him, Admiral?" "Tell him that this is what happens when free people fight together. Tell him that his empire is finished." The message was broadcast across the battlefield in dozens of languages. Every conscript, every slave soldier, every unwilling warrior in the Empire fleet heard it. And then something amazing happened. Ships began switching sides in the middle of the battle. A squadron of Kethran vessels that had been forced to fight for the Empire suddenly turned their weapons on their Zephyrian commanders. A group of Mullery ships broke formation and joined the Alliance fleet. Even some Zephyrian crews, tired of centuries of endless conquest, surrendered rather than continue fighting. High Commander Zek Thul watched his fleet dissolve around him. "This is impossible. We are the Zephyrian Empire. We have ruled the galaxy for 2,000 years. Admiral Morrison's voice came over his communication system, calm and confident. "Your empire ruled through fear, Commander. But fear only works until someone stands up to it. Today the galaxy stands up." The battle ended with the surrender of the remaining Empire ships. High Commander Zek Thul was captured along with most of his officers. The mighty Zephyrian Empire, which had conquered 847 species over 2 millennia, was finished. But Admiral Morrison knew that the real work was just beginning. Winning a war was easier than building a peace. She stood before representatives from dozens of worlds in what had once been the Empire's council chamber. "We came here to defend Earth from invasion," she told them. "We're leaving with something better, a galaxy where every species can choose its own path." Captain Tony Garcia, now promoted to Admiral, would command the peacekeeping fleet that made sure former Empire worlds stayed free. Admiral Nick Thompson would lead the exploration fleets that searched for other enslaved species beyond the Empire's borders. Dr. Sam Williams established an academy where scientists from all the free worlds could work together, sharing knowledge instead of hoarding it. Engineer Beth Allen helped design new cities and space stations built by cooperation instead of conquest. But perhaps the most important change was in how the galaxy thought about war and peace. The Empire had taught that the strong must rule the weak. Humanity taught something different, that the free must help others become free. Years later, when historians studied the war, they would argue about what made the difference. Some said it was human technology. Others claimed it was superior tactics. Admiral Morrison, now retired and living on a peaceful world where 3 different species had learned to work together, knew the real answer. "They expected us to surrender," she told her granddaughter who was studying the war in school. "They had conquered 847 species by making the same demand: surrender or die. But humans are different?" the little girl asked. Morrison smiled and looked up at the stars where ships from dozens of worlds traveled freely through space that had once been ruled by fear. "No, sweetheart. Humans aren't different. We just reminded the galaxy of